I would like to introduce our guest for this podcast, Cassy Joy Garcia. Cassy is the creator of fedandfit.com and also the author of the brand new book of the same name, Fed and Fit, a 28-day food and fitness plan to jumpstart your life. When she was just 24 years old, she was experiencing health problems like fatigue, debilitating joint pain, and anxiety, and was looking for ways to help her. She eventually chose what we commonly call the paleo template, a grain-free, dairy-free, artificial ingredient-free diet and lifestyle, which led her on the path to eliminating her joint pain, having more energy, and being more fit. She's also a nutrition consultant and has been blogging since 2011. She is a native Texan,
Oh.
and lives there with her husband and the most adorable Great Pyrenees named Gus, which you'll get to meet him if you follow her on Snapchat. Welcome to the Backyard Fence, Cassy.
Hey, ladies, thanks for having me.
You're welcome. Thanks for coming on. I'm so excited to talk with you.
Oh my gosh, I am so excited. This is really, really exciting. And it's been the morning of technical difficulties, so I didn't hear all of your intro, but I caught the first part and the part about Gus, and I think that sums it up.
Gus is the best. I love him.
He's just the apple of my eye, and he's got me wrapped around his little toe.
Yeah.
His dew claw, perhaps.
Yeah, exactly. One of them, because Great Pyrenees have multiple dew claws.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Too funny. Well, first of all, to get started, give us a little more insight into your journey into health. I just briefly mentioned it in the intro, but what problems were you experiencing? Then how did you actually come to discover paleo?
It really started when I had graduated from college. I went to Texas A&M University in College Station, so I'm an Aggie. And I graduated, what year was that? 2008. I can't even remember now. And when you're in your early 20s, you just really think, or at least I did, I thought that I had it all figured out and I was invincible. And I was kind of entering into adulthood thinking that whatever I was feeling was just life. Like that's just what it means to be an adult. And part of that was my waistline kept growing. I had less and less energy, and I started to have pain in my hips and my joints. And I thought, oh, that's just adulthood. I've got it all figured out. And the only thing that I thought was worth looking into was the fact that my waistline kept growing, because I got tired of going back to, Express and buying one size bigger of those editor pants every couple months. And so I turned to really the only information that I had at the time, or that was presented to me, was what you saw on TV, all the diets. And so I started dieting, and I spent, several years working through several different diets. I dedicated myself very strictly to the programs, and I'd lose weight in 30 days, which now I understand in hindsight, it's because I was calorie restricting myself to an extreme. And I'd bounce right back when it all was said and done, because I wasn't solving any underlying issues. And so after that kind of yo-yo back and forth diet for a while, I was fed up. I mean, I did half a dozen at least diets. I was tired of it. I was tired of doing what other people said I needed to be eating and how much, and not understanding why. Nobody was telling me the reasons why. They just would show me these before and after photos, and it was all very magical and enticing. But at the end of the day, it was smoke and mirrors. So I have a background in science, and I thought, well, let's screw my head on correctly and maybe dig into the nutrition science research and start getting some of the why answers, questions answered. So I did, and I stumbled across the paleo diet direction back in the day of it was just Lauren Cordain and Rob Wolf, and it made a lot of sense to me. The idea of eliminating inflammatory foods on my plate and replacing them with healing foods just made so much sense. And at the same time, I was also, when it came to physical fitness, I thought the only avenue to fitness was to really just strap myself to the elliptical at the rec center and just press go until I couldn't stand it anymore. And I hated it. I really loathed going to the gym, but I thought that was the only way to get healthy. I was stuck in that place of, I gotta just eat less and I just got to work out more. That's all I thought I needed to do. So I changed everything about my approach to diet and fitness. I changed it all. I needed to do something totally different because what I was doing wasn't working. And so I did. I followed a paleo template, which I'm sure a lot of folks know by now are very well familiar with it. But I stopped eating, grains and legumes and dairy and artificial ingredients. I was the Diet Dr. Pepper queen. And so the fact that I gave those up was a miracle. And I did. I put them aside and I replaced it with sparkling water instead, which I still love lots. And anyways, and in a span of and then on the fitness side, I swallowed my fear of free weights. I'm kind of a baby deer in the gym. I really am. I'm not a naturally athletic person. The only sport I'm decent at is golf. And that's because I've been golfing for 25 years, I'm very coachable, but it takes a long time for me to be good at something. And so I was terrified. I'd always walk into the gym and see the guys with the weights, and I would just avoid eye contact because it just intimidated the heck out of me. But I swallowed my fear and I joined CrossFit, which is, a great program, found really good coaches who could understand my fear and my limitations and work with me. And in the span of about 6 to 9 months, so it was a really slow process, which is really the way it should be.
That's better, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. If you're looking for big results, then it takes longer. Of course, I got the results I was looking for. I lost 10 dress sizes, which shocked me. I didn't know I had that much to lose. I'm a tall girl and I had no idea. I just knew I kept going back for bigger sizes. I didn't know how far down I could go. I didn't lose a whole lot of weight because I built some really healthy muscle in the time. But really the size change of my body has almost become a B-roll to my success story, because the things that made me not want to let go of paleo and not want to let go of this mixed fitness program was the fact that for the first time in my adult life, I had energy. And it somebody gave me the keys to my life for the first time ever. I had energy. I could make the drive from College Station to San Antonio without having to pull over and take a nap, which again, at the time I thought, oh, that's just being an adult. It's just the way it is. We take naps in cars. It was great. The joint pain went away. And I didn't know that was an option at the time. I thought that's just going to be the way it is. Went away. I got to go off my joint pain supplements. It really was a miracle. It was the miracle I was looking for. So that's the unabridged version. Sorry. Okay. That was my personal success story. And I think that because I found all that success and because I felt like me for the first time as an adult, I didn't want to let it go. I didn't want it to just be another diet that, I'm on to the next one now. So I found a way to turn it into real life. And that included getting creative in the kitchen so I wasn't bored. Because when I first started paleo, I dieted on paleo. It's all I knew how to do. I had my grilled chicken and my steamed spinach and my 27 raspberries, I got bored. So I started cooking in the kitchen, and that's where the food blog came from, sharing some of those recipes so other folks could have really delicious stuff that was really nourishing. And then the traffic started organically. More people visited the website and they started asking better and better questions. And I wanted to be able to give them good answers. So I went back to school, became a certified nutrition consultant through Bowman College, and really found a way to apply that science, my love of science, with a holistic approach to healing and nutrition, worked with folks one-on-one, and that blossomed into the Fed and Fit Project, which is where I could kind of then scale it at large, this concept of how do you build a healthy lifestyle? Not a diet, not a program. How do you build your perfect plan? So that's the genesis of the Fed and Fit Project. And we took it down, refined it, scrubbed some things, changed some things up, put it into the book, the Fed and Fit book, which is primarily started off as just a cookbook. It was just going to be a cookbook. And then my publisher was like, wow, this program's awesome. You want to put this in there too? So let's do it. Anyways, and then all that stuff. And now we've relaunched the project online, or we're going to very soon. And it's just been a wild ride, but I think that it all happened for a reason. I'm thankful for my struggles, and I'm thankful that I did struggle for so long and I didn't feel like me for a while, because it's really enabled me to, how I'm a slow learner, and it's helped me kind of summarize my lessons learned and help other people learn those lessons, but so much more quickly than I did.
Yeah, that is an amazing story, really.
Yeah.
I mean, just that you took the bull by the horns finally and just did it yourself, and then it turned into, your own project, this book.
Mm-hmm.
That's just so amazing.
Yeah, I love
Oh,
that.
thank you.
Best stories.
So the Bowman College, is that like near where you live, or is that a community college? I haven't heard of that college, or is it an online thing, or?
So they have a couple campuses in California. I think they're all in California. And there might be one in Portland. But no, it's an actual campus, but I did it through their distance learning program.
Okay.
Because I had good roots here in Texas, and I met the man of my dreams, and I wasn't about to leave. So I stayed here. I interviewed a bunch of schools, and I had a distinct list. It's a question I get a lot, is how did you choose that program?
Mm-hmm.
I had a distinct list of the things that I knew I wanted to learn. I wanted an emphasis on biochemistry, with applications in holistic nutrition, for example. And I also I didn't want to be in school for another 4 years, because I got my Bachelor of Science from A&M already. I really just wanted the practical how-tos. And Bowman was the right fit. It was the right fit for the price, for the time, and for the science that I was really looking for. Yeah, that's how I chose it. It was a great distance learning program. There's some other really good ones out there. I debated the NTC and TA program for a while, but becoming an NC was really the best fit for me and my business.
Right. And so do you counsel people then? Do you have like a business like that in addition to?
Yeah. So I started, after I graduated from Bowman, I started working with folks one-on-one. And I got to a point where, you guys know, there's only so many hours in a week. And I wanted to help more and more people. And my wait list for clients kept growing. And so that's when I got to the point I had reached a critical mass of, I can't scale this anymore with just me. And so that was the reason why I started the project, was so that I could help more folks. And it's kind of as far as my hand holding, it's kind of an 80% solution, if that makes any sense. And then it's up to the individual then to take it that extra 20% to get the full picture. And so that's what I did. And it was quite an I will not lie. I was very intimidated to start that process, because I believe so much in working with somebody. And that's definitely my nature, to be there with them for every twist and turn, and going out on a limb and trusting kind of the 80% solution system. And it worked. I can't tell you how gratifying it felt at the end of the first 28 days of the first beta group that I ran. It was these 25 ladies, and I was like, it's going to be ugly. You got to bear with me. We don't know what's going to happen. And at the end of those first 28 days with those 25 ladies, they got it. Like, wow. They sent in their biggest lessons learned, and their lessons learned that was it. And I didn't have to hold their hand at every twist and turn. So it was really cool. But yeah, that's kind of how my business evolved, from one-on-one to the program.
Okay. So you coach groups of people.
Exactly. Yep.
Okay. That is so neat. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you.
I could think of one person in particular in our family that really needs this, but I'll be talking to him about that.
We all have them, I mean, my mom and dad, or my mom got on board a couple years ago, and her results were miraculous as well. But there's still, we every once in a while we'll have a pizza night, and my husband, I'm like, do you want gluten-free? And he says, but the regular is so much more affordable, and he gets his regular pizza. So, it's just got to let bygones be bygones.
Yep. I get that.
So your husband is on board too, then?
He is. I mean, he eats what I cook.
Oh.
And, and when I'm out of town, like I was just recently for 3 weeks, the man didn't go to the grocery store once in 3 weeks. I have a stash of freezer meals in our deep freeze that's really healthy, and he tapped it clean. It's I'm glad he was fed.
Yeah.
But when left to his own devices, he'll have the flour tortillas and other things, but it's fine.
Yeah. Oh, okay. So like you were saying, the blog has led to the Fed and Fit book, which I actually have it right here. I'll show everybody.
And I do too.
Yay! Oh, you guys, look, I do too.
Right.
It is a fabulous book. I encourage everyone to go out and get it. And at first I wanted to call it a cookbook, but it really is so much more than that. It's like a guide to getting started in a healthy lifestyle. And one of the first things that you talk about in the book at the beginning is about mindset. And I love that. And it really intrigued me because it's something that we don't necessarily associate with being healthier or like eating healthier. So can you delve deeper into that topic about the whole mindset thing?
Yeah, definitely. It was very intentional that I put it first, because I'm the kind of girl that I'll write my to-do list and then I'll go back through and number it and then I'll rewrite it by priority. I have to be organized like that. And the book is no different how it's organized. It's very intentional that I answer a lot of the whys in the book first. And then we provide in the middle is kind of the how with the project. And then there's like an extra bonus set of tools at the end, being the recipes and the fitness index, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, but to kick it all off, like you said, we talk about mindset. So the 4 pillars of health, number 1 is mindset. 2 is rest and hydration. And so for about 50 pages, we haven't said a peep about food and fitness, which is the name of the book. And then we get into nutrition, and then we get into the science of physical fitness. And mindset, it really is the do not pass go piece of the equation. Like I said, when I started my journey, I was originally motivated because I wanted to slim down. That was my original motivator. But once you get it, where's the motivation to continue? And if you're really looking to develop a lifestyle, then you have to consider the long-term goals and the long-term mindset, because it really, and it's not to say that we have to try to be perfect with our mindset and our attitude and our goals, but at least let's get our compass pointing north. And then, just be aware of where north is. If we're having kind of a bad day and maybe we don't do a lot of really great self-talking, maybe be able to really quickly reorient ourselves and get back on the right path that's really nourishing and healing. And I think it's important to talk about our attitude and our fear of failure and our fear of success and our goals, setting meaningful goals. It's okay. I think a lot of folks taboo, physical appearance goals. I think it's fine. It's fine to have a goal saying you want to look your best at your 20-year high school reunion. There's nothing wrong with that. But let's dig a little deeper too. And let's set a longer term, more meaningful goal. I don't have children. I don't have grandchildren. But one of my dig deep, meaningful goals is that I want to be able to, if I'm lucky enough to still be on this earth, I want to be able to run around and chase my grandkids one day, and really be vibrant and available for them. So that's a long-term, meaningful goal that I have to really want to keep me to stay on the path. And I also think it's important. One of the biggest takeaways from Fed and Fit Project, people who've worked through the project, is that they realize at the end of it that it's about progress, not perfection. We're constantly in this stage of bettering ourselves. I'm constantly trying to better myself. I listen to podcasts all the time. I read books all the time. I follow wonderful people who are doing great things in the world. I believe everybody has something to teach me, right? All the time. It would be debilitating if I thought that I had to live up to all the awesome things I see in the world. So I'm constantly a work in progress. Constantly. I want to learn something new every single day and be excited about learning something new, not ashamed that I didn't already know it. And so taking that concept into building a healthy lifestyle is wrapping our minds around progress, not perfection. It's about doing good things, making healthy decisions, and then learning from them, even if it's not necessarily a healthy decision. Some folks, I remember on the project, it's hard to get out of that mindset of being on the bandwagon or off the bandwagon, right? And I remember several folks' weddings come up a lot. well, my best friend's daughter is getting married and I'm in the middle of the project. Do I eat the cake or do I not eat the cake? And my advice every single time is eat the cake. Eat the cake. It's just cake. You know, like and use it as a learning opportunity. Don't think you're now throwing the baby out with the bathwater on all your great progress. Use the cake as a learning opportunity to be introspective and journal. I ate the cake last night. How are you feeling the next morning? How are you feeling 2 days later? You know, did you find yourself needing more water to come out of it? Did you, because you'd already had some powerful lessons learned, did you know that if you just ate more berries and fresh fruits and other vegetables that you felt better more quickly? You know, those are the kinds of ways to turn it into a real lifestyle, to not punish ourselves for making bad decisions and not reward ourselves for making good decisions. Just go and live and just feel your best and feel empowered, and there's no right and there's no wrong. Anyways, that was a very long way to answer your question in a very roundabout way. But that's really, I think mindset is so important, because if we don't have it, we're going to teeter in our lifestyle and not really understand why. So I wanted to draw awareness to it as being just as important as food and just as important as fitness.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I really like that idea of progress, not perfection. Because so many people, you know, when they are on the diet bandwagon, if they fall off of it, then they're like, well, I'm off now. I might as well just splurge and just eat whatever I want, you know?
Yeah.
It's like, well, no, that's, yeah. It's so, yeah, it's all about progress. So I guess one question we want to ask you was about cheat days. So, you know, do you think that, you know, like an occasional, well, you gave the example of the cake at the wedding, but, you know, what about like a whole day, you know, like Sunday or something? I don't know.
Yeah. You know, I think the body is king. And if the body needs, I think that our bodies are such wise beings that really they have the answers. And that's part of the introspective journey, is learning how to listen to our body. If your body is tired and just wants all the carbs, and maybe it wants a glass of wine, and maybe it wants a chocolate chip cookie or whatever it is, then by golly, go have it. And again, to your point, don't punish yourself by having a slice of, because you had a slice of pie, by eating the rest of the pie. Like, enjoy it, stop when you're done, you know. And again, that forces us to think more critically, to really listen to our body. But listen, once we've given it what it wants, then move on. And then you can start breakfast, have a healthy breakfast the next day. I don't usually think of them as cheat days. I just think of it as, I'm just going to eat a lot of carbohydrates today, and I'm going to go have a gluten-free pizza and a glass of wine, whatever it is. Yeah, I mean, I think it's a part of life. I used to talk about this a lot, but sort of the 80% on, 20% off, I don't really calculate it that way. I know that kind of helps some people wrap their mind around the idea of how much on or off. And it probably comes down to that. But 80% of the time I make really good decisions and really enjoy really healing, healthy foods. But I also don't police myself if I'm out at a restaurant and they're known for their chocolate souffle. You know, I'm going to have a bite. And I don't consider it a cheat. I just consider it a part of life.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And that goes along with what you're saying about don't punish yourself and don't reward yourself. Because I think we can get into that thing where, oh, like I worked out today and I'm going to reward myself by something totally unrelated, you know, and that isn't healthy either, you know, it's the punish and reward thing. So
yeah, exactly. It just creates this carrot mentality. I think that if we're trying to get started and we're trying to build habits, oh, there's Gus. Can you hear him? Everyone at home, listen to the Gus. The guy, the weed whackers are outside, and Gus wants to give him a what for. But I think that when people are starting to build habits, you know, going to the gym is such an intimidating process when we're just getting started, right? It can really feel like this huge, impossible task. And sometimes we have to sweeten the deal. Sometimes we have to tell ourselves, you know what? I'm going to go buy those new running shoes because I'm going to feel pretty cool wearing those in the gym. And it's going to make me want to put them on. Like that, I talk about it in my podcast as hiding an Easter egg. You know, like hiding those little kind of extra reasons to look forward to something is a really cool way to start or build a habit, because once the habit is there, you do it automatically. You don't need the Easter egg. You know, you're going to go out there and you're going to go to the gym and look forward to it. So anyways, yeah, to your point, I think that there's a difference between rewarding yourself constantly and then doing the other.
Mm-hmm. I think you've kind of already answered number 5.
About being holistic. Like, I like how you're non-dogmatic in your approach. You know, it's not like, oh, you must do these things or else you're not paleo, or, you know, because I get people asking me, well, is this paleo? Is that paleo? And I'm like, well, like, what works for you? And it just feels like you're the kind of the same way.
Absolutely. Yeah. Something that's a question I get a lot is just like to your question, you know, well, is white rice paleo? I see a lot of people eating white rice, or is X approved on the project? Yada, yada, yada. What should I eat? And so to answer that question, I was like, we're going to spell it. I can't believe I just flipped to the page. That never happens.
Wow. What page?
It's on page 76.
Okay.
And it's called the scope, the food scope.
Oh, yes.
In the book. And I put it in here because I wanted to be very clear. Again, this is how my brain works. My brain works like an Excel document.
Wow.
I wanted to put side by side paleo in the most traditional sense, what is in scope and what is out of scope. And I also call it scope on purpose. It's very purposefully chosen word because it's not the rules. It's not, there really aren't any rules. People have defined paleo by so many different parameters. There's so many people who just consider it a template. So I'm just saying generally considered, you know, the scope of a project, these are the scopes. So we've got paleo, I've got the project itself, and then what I call the perfect you plan. And that's really the sweet spot, the holy grail is, okay, yeah, maybe white rice is not technically paleo, and maybe I don't call for it in the project because it can be inflammatory for some people, and I want you to choose very powerfully if that's right for you. But it could definitely be in scope for your PYP, your perfect you plan. I really love abbreviations. You know, it could be in your PYP, and that's okay. It doesn't have to. You can be following a mostly paleo scope, you know, but your PYP can also include other things. I mean, your PYP, mine includes a glass of red wine with my parents on Sunday nights, you know, next to a steak. So those types of things that's what I mean by lifestyle, you know. So many people say we think we have to abide on the long run. We think we have to abide to these really strict dietary parameters. And that's just not realistic in the long run. We're going to constantly feel like we're failing or we're not failing. And so if we go ahead, I remember some of my favorite clients that I worked with one-on-one, the most successful clients were the ones who sat down with me and I said, what are the things you're not willing to give up? And this one comes to mind and she said, well, I'm not going to give up my cheese. I'm not going to give up my creamer in my coffee. And I'm not going to give up having, you know, wine when I go out with my husband on date nights. I was like, we can work with that. We can definitely work with that. That then became a part of her in scope, you know, and we made other adjustments and she never felt like she wasn't paleo or wasn't doing it. She just knew that she was making good decisions that were going to benefit her and her health. And it did. She saw amazing progress. And of course, once she got some steam, built some steam up and felt like she had some success under her belt, she came to me and she was like, okay, I'm ready to give up the cream in my coffee. What other suggestions do you have? You know, so you just you gotta know yourself really well and know that if going in full tilt, ripping the Band-Aid off and doing something very strict like paleo or the project for the first 28 days, if that's not going to make you feel like you're missing out, then go for it. But some people, it's just really going to freak them out. And it's hard to wrap our minds around moderation after something like that. So know yourself, take a little bit longer. 28 days is the fastest I would recommend anybody do it. But I only had so many pages. So that was the one that fit the book. So that's the reason for the online program, so that we can kind of help expand upon that and be a little bit more, cater a little bit more to the individual.
Okay. And the project, is that you're opening it back up? How is that?
We are.
Okay. Yeah, explain more about that.
I have to take a deep breath when I talk about it because there's so much going on with it. It is, it's big. So it's probably the biggest thing I've ever done, including the book. So what we did is we've taken the project and we've turned it back in. It was an online program, online classroom sort of setting, with modules where I coached people, just like you were saying, coached them in a group setting. And what we've done is we've taken that. I invited Julie Bauer, my girlfriend, paleoMG.com, the blogger behind that. She's a brilliant fitness programmer and recipe developer. But I invited her to, she and I see eye to eye when it comes to building your perfect U plan, where, you know, there really aren't any rules per se. And she's a very encouraging person in that regard. So she came and she developed a bunch of workouts for the project. And we sat down next to each other and filmed a bunch of instructional videos that went into the online program. So it's really going to be, people are going to be able to register as a member. And there's a registration fee, of course, and then just like a monthly membership fee to stay included in it. But we have the videos, we have bonus resources. So Julie is writing extra workouts. We're doing modifications because the workouts in the book are pretty tough. And I want people to feel really encouraged, not discouraged by those types of things. So we're going to have workout modifications. We have over a 200 recipe ebook for folks who want more recipes. And then alternate meal plans for people who want to follow a meal plan. You know, they don't really want to DIY it, but they want to do an AIP or a low FOD map, or for athletes, or they want to just baby step their way into it. What are the things to start with? And then we have the community forum. What else? Lots of email support, because I think it's really fun to get an email with a note about, yes, if you're feeling this way right now, it's exactly where you should be. Just kind of reassuring type of activity. So the project is going to be there, and it's really going to be, I'm still going to build content for the blog and for the podcast and for social media, but the project is kind of going to become my outlet for spoiling people. You know, it's really going to be the place where when we have a new ebook, that's where we publish it. And it becomes just available to those members. So really cultivating a community around this whole thing that we're talking about. You know, it's just go be you and be able, and sometimes people are doing it on their own. You know, they have a big family, but they're the only ones pursuing it. And it's helpful to have a community and have folks that you know you can lean on and be reassured by.
Yeah, I really like that idea of being in community, other people, and having that support. So that is so neat.
Yeah. So if people want to like sign up for it or know when it's gonna open back up, how can they find out about that?
Thank you. This is where I like creating things, but I'm not the best at talking about it. You can see I really get excited about the content. Oh yeah, I guess I should tell people where to go. Fedandfitproject.com is the name of the URL, or you can find it just by going to my homepage, fedandfit.com. I have a project tab at the very top. And right now we're collecting email addresses. So I'm not going to announce it publicly when it opens. I'm just going to email those folks because I really just want it to be those people, the people who are really, really interested at first. And we're thinking about opening membership up 4 times a year.
Okay.
So every 3 months. And we'll have, of course, a really big one in January, which we will advertise to the group at large. But yeah, it'll be a lot of fun. I'm sure I'll be excited, and I'll tell people about it publicly for this one too. But coming up, October is going to be our first launch, and it's coming. Whether we're ready for it or not, it's going to be here. Yeah. So
do people just jump in the future? I mean, you know, will they just jump in and just start the program at that time? I mean,
how does it work?
Yeah.
So it can work several ways. There's several different paths that folks can choose. If they want to jump in and they want to do the 28-day squeaky clean, as fast as we can go type of reset, then there's going to be a start date for that, so that you're working through it with other people. You're going to get emails supporting you, like, you know, at the end of week 1, you know, kind of a what you're probably feeling now type deal. And then there's going to be, of course, an option if someone wants to just jump in and follow along casually because maybe they have the book, but they're really baby stepping their way into it and they'd rather just kind of be their own pilot in the matter. Then there's resources to support them. But that's kind of the idea of doing it every 3 months, because 3 months is kind of the longer track. If that makes sense, if someone's looking to just really slowly step their way into it, that's really the purpose of that.
Yeah, I think I signed up for it, so.
Yay! Awesome. That's so exciting. I hope, man, I'm excited. I know there's going to be some hiccups, but it's going to be a wild ride.
Oh, yeah, well, I love your enthusiasm about everything, so that it's contagious. So I think other people that get on it will definitely feel that too.
Yeah, I told them when we were on the book tour, I was like, this is really just, if you want someone to tell you, rah, you're doing great, like, this is the place.
Oh, well, do you have any other thoughts, like anything that we didn't cover, fitness-wise or food, or just any thoughts on
anything? The only other thing that I didn't talk about is the app that goes with the book. And that's I think it's pretty cool. It's a totally free resource. So you couldn't, I'm obviously very long-winded, and I just couldn't fit it all in these pages. So in addition to the book, in addition to the project online, we also have the Fed and Fit app, and it's a free download on iTunes and Android. And I don't know if you girls know this yet, but the way it works is with each chapter break, is this the worst that I'm showing the book like this? With each chapter break, there are these little QR code banks between each one. And so what it does is if you open up the app and you say, oh, well, I want to make the chicken tikka masala slow cooker for dinner tonight. You open up the app and you can scan the QR code and they'll populate a grocery shopping list for you.
Oh, wow.
That is so cool.
That is genius.
Yeah, I love that.
But wait, it gets better.
Oh.
I told my mom about this idea, and moms have the best ideas. They just do. They know how to take something good and make them better. And she's like, Cass, that's great, but what if you reverse the process? Because she'll call me up and say, I have beets and chicken in my fridge. What can I make? So we reverse the process, and if, let's say, you have beets, you can type in beets into the app, and then it'll show you all the recipes in the book that call for beets.
Oh, neat.
I need that in my life.
Isn't that
I have wanted something like that. Yeah.
My mom said. My mom was like, I don't care if you give it to anybody else, but I want it.
Wow.
So the app, I'm really proud of it. It's a really robust piece of software I was able to build for free. Because I wanted it to be a resource for folks. With this book, I aim to answer as many questions as possible and bridge as many gaps as possible. And people wanted more slow cooker recipes. They wanted more casseroles. They wanted home workouts. They wanted a program. They wanted to know more about the background science. So I did all of that. And then people also said, well, it's such a pain lugging around a book with you to the grocery store or taking photos of it. So that's why people love the blog, because it's mobile. And so that was the way that I could bridge the gap, and I'm excited about it. The app also has a free journal, online journal. So if you are working through the project on your own with just the book, which is awesome. If you're doing it just with the book, or if you're a member of the project online, you can do your journaling through the app as well.
Wow. So that's kind of a requirement if you do the program, is the journaling?
It's strongly encouraged. I really consider it the backbone of the project, because the point of the project, following the food rules and following the, sleeping at night and drinking water and doing the fitness stuff, that's all great. But if you're not actually using those activities to learn about yourself, then it's really just a 28-day diet. And so what I want people to have is, I don't want them to journal, I ate 27 raspberries for lunch. I don't want them counting raspberries, but I think at the end of the day, writing down your most powerful, I call them lessons learned. I've said that a lot on the show, but that's what I mean is, a powerful lesson learned. And we always think we're going to remember these things, but we never do. A couple days go by and we forget them. Like, I found myself really, really craving junky food today, but I also know that I only got 5.5 hours of sleep last night. So powerful lesson learned. I crave junky food when I don't get enough sleep. And then at the end of it, you get to take those lessons learned, and I like to think of rolling them up into a larger kind of you manual, like a manual on you. And with stuff like that, And on the positive side, it could say, I wasn't feeling very well, and then I ate a whole bunch of steamed kale with fresh lemon and some sea salt, and I felt like $1,000,000. And your lesson learned could be, steamed kale with spinach or with lemon and sea salt makes me feel like $1,000,000. And so you kind of develop a cheat sheet, and life and healthy living becomes less of a mystery, and we feel more empowered, and like we're more in control of how we feel throughout the day. And so that's the reason for the journaling.
Okay.
That is really neat.
People are looking for that, for looking for the empowerment and feeling like they're not at the mercy of their genes or, you know, outside factors. So I think that's so great to encourage people to feel that way and do that. So
yeah, awesome. Well, thank you.
You're welcome. Well, so where can people find you? We mentioned the blog, but what other outlets are you on?
So I made it really easy for everybody. I'm Fed and Fit everywhere. I'm Fed and Fit on Instagram is probably my favorite, more regular mainstream social media outlet. Fed and Fit on Facebook, Fed and Fit on Snapchat, which is where you can see more crazy everyday life stuff. And then I also have a YouTube channel called Fed and Fit, just a couple videos up there right now, but now that I'm back from the book tour, we're going to start filming more cooking demos and maybe some fun, you know, food science with Cassy kind of deal. But yeah, YouTube, and I forget the rest of them. Oh, the Fed and Fit podcast is a weekly 30-minute, just kind of mindset podcast. Believe it or not, I try to be shorter winded there. So, yeah, I think that's pretty much everything.
All right.
So the podcast you find on iTunes, is that right?
The podcast you can find on iTunes. It's also on Stitcher. And then I have full transcripts. So the show notes, if you'd rather consume the information by reading it, that's available on my website. And then of course my book is also called Fed and Fit, and you can find it on Amazon. It's on sale right now. I don't know how they do it. It's amazing, the sales that they do. And it's on Amazon Prime, so you can get it in 2 days. And then it's also in Barnes and Nobles nationwide.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for doing this. This was really fun. Get to talk with you and share your wisdom with our listeners. So thank you so much.
Oh my gosh. Thank you, girls. This was great. Thank you for having me on.
You're welcome. It was really fun to meet you and to hear about the program and everything firsthand. Out of
awesome.
The mouth.
Love it.
Well, go check Cassy out on all her social media sites and her website. And thank you all for tuning in today. Have a great day.
All right. Bye.